There is a grain that grows back every year without replanting. Its roots reach 10 feet deep, 6 times deeper than wheat, sequestering carbon, filtering water, preventing erosion. Planted once, harvest for decades. It produces grain, forage, and ecosystem services worth thousands of dollars per acre, and it exists right now. Not in ancient history, not lost to conquest. It's being grown today in Kansas, Minnesota, Wisconsin. You can buy bread made from it at Whole Foods, beer brewed from it at craft breweries, pasta from Patagonia. But almost no one, not even the farmers, plant it. Not because it doesn't work, because the system that controls our food was never designed for plants that don't need to be replanted every year. This is the story of the grain that could save agriculture, if agriculture would let it. Welcome to Nature's Forgotten Vault. Before we open this vault, if these stories matter to you, the best way to preserve this wisdom is simple. Subscribe, hit the bell, and share these vaults with those who need to remember what we forgot. Thenopyrum intermedium. Intermediate wheatgrass. For over a century, it's been grown across North America and Eurasia as livestock forage. Nothing special, just perennial grass that cattle eat. But in the 1980s, a researcher named Wes Jackson at the Land Institute in Kansas looked at it and saw something no one else did. He saw wheat. Perennial wheat. Annual wheat has been humanity's staple for 10,000 years. We plant it in spring, harvest in fall, plow the field, repeat. Every year, forever. The soil erodes, nutrients leach, carbon escapes, we dump synthetic fertilizer to replace what we destroy. We spray pesticides, we irrigate, we burn diesel plowing, and we do it again, every single year. But what if wheat grew back? Jackson started a breeding program. For 40 years, the Land Institute selected intermediate wheatgrass for larger seeds, better yields, improved flavor. In 2009, they trademarked it, Kernza. By 2019, it was commercially available. By 2024, it was in grocery stores. Here's what makes it impossible. The roots, 10 feet deep. Annual wheat, 2 feet. Corn, 3 feet. Kernza's roots dive into subsoil where annual crops never reach, tapping ancient water, pulling up minerals, anchoring soil so tightly that erosion drops to near zero. Studies show Kernza fields lose 95% less soil than wheat fields. Carbon sequestration. Those deep roots store carbon underground, permanently. Research in 2024 confirmed Kernza fields sequester 1 to 3 tons of carbon per acre annually. Wheat fields? They release carbon from tilling. Water quality. Kernza absorbs 96% more nitrate pollution than corn or soy. Nitrate runoff from industrial farms poisons rivers, creates dead zones in the Gulf of Mexico, contaminates drinking water. Kernza filters it before it leaves the field. No replanting. Planted once, harvest grain for 5 to 10 years, maybe longer. Research is still ongoing, but some stands are productive past decade 1. Compare that to wheat. Plow, plant, harvest, repeat. Kernza, plant, harvest, 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 harvest. Nutrient profile. Higher protein than wheat, higher fiber, rich in carotenoids and antioxidants. It tastes nutty, slightly sweet, like brown butter, cinnamon, toasted walnuts. Bakers love it, brewers love it, chefs love it. Ecosystem services. Kernza fields support 3 times the microbial diversity of wheat fields. They provide year-round habitat for pollinators and wildlife. They improve water infiltration, reducing flood risk. They don't need pesticides. The deep roots outcompete weeds. This is not theoretical. This is happening right now. So, if Kernza does everything better than wheat, better for soil, water, carbon, nutrition, and farmers' wallets over time, why are only a few thousand acres planted in the entire United States? Because the entire agricultural system is built around a single assumption: annual planting.
Seed companies sell seeds every year. That's the model. Monsanto, Bayer, Corteva. They don't make money from perennials. You buy Kernza seed once, you harvest for a decade. Where's the profit? Fertilizer companies sell fertilizer every year. Kernza needs 50% less nitrogen than wheat. Its deep roots mine nutrients from subsoil. Its forage harvest option, you can cut it for hay mid-season, then harvest grain in fall, increases root biomass, which increases soil nitrogen naturally. Less fertilizer sold equals less profit. Equipment manufacturers sell tillers, planters, combines optimized for annual monocultures. Kernza doesn't fit. It requires different harvest timing. Seed heads mature unevenly, some early, some late, so you can't combine harvest a whole field at once like wheat. Current Kernza yields are lower than wheat, 400 to 800 pounds per acre versus wheat's 2,500 pounds. But here's what that comparison misses. Kernza is dual use. You harvest forage in summer, worth $100 to $300 per ton. Then you harvest grain in fall. Total revenue per acre can match or exceed wheat once you factor in carbon credits, water quality payments, and reduced input costs. A 2022 economic analysis showed Kernza farms break even with wheat farms in year 3. By year 5, Kernza is more profitable because you're not buying seed, you're not tilling, you're not fertilizing as much. But industrial agriculture doesn't think in 5-year cycles. It thinks in quarterly earnings, annual sales, immediate profit. And then there's the biggest obstacle, the one that's killed every perennial crop we've covered. You can't patent a perennial the same way you patent an annual, because the seed regenerates.
In 2024, the Land Institute surveyed farmers across the Midwest. Question: have you heard of Kernza? Answer: 87% said no. 87%. A grain developed specifically to solve agriculture's biggest problems: erosion, water pollution, carbon emissions, soil degradation, and almost no one farming the land knows it exists. Why? Extension services don't teach it. Agricultural extension programs, government-funded education for farmers, are sponsored by seed companies, chemical companies, equipment manufacturers. They teach what their sponsors sell. Kernza doesn't fit the sponsor model. No infrastructure. Grain elevators aren't set up for Kernza. Processors don't have contracts. Supply chains don't exist. If you grow Kernza, you have to find your own buyers. Compare that to wheat. You harvest, you deliver to the elevator, you get paid. Kernza, you harvest, you call around, maybe you find a craft brewery or a specialty flour mill, maybe you don't. Perception of risk. Farmers are risk-averse by necessity. One bad year can bankrupt a family farm. Planting something new, something without guaranteed markets, something that takes 3 years to break even, that's terrifying when your livelihood is on the line. Subsidies favor annuals. U.S. crop insurance, disaster payments, conservation programs, all designed around annual crops. Kernza doesn't qualify for most of them. You're on your own. So farmers stick with what they know: wheat, corn, soy. Even though those crops are destroying the soil, even though nitrate runoff is poisoning water, even though tilling releases carbon, even though they're trapped in the cycle of buying seeds, buying fertilizer, buying pesticides every single year. But a few farmers said, screw it, we're planting anyway. And what they're discovering is changing everything. Minnesota, 2018. A farmer named Jake Jungers plants 50 acres of Kernza. Year 1, low grain yield, but decent forage. Year 2, grain yield improves, forage stays strong. Year 3, the soil changes. Earthworm populations explode, water infiltration doubles. The field that used to flood during heavy rains now absorbs everything. By year 5, Jungers is harvesting 600 pounds of grain per acre plus 2 tons of forage. He's earning $400 per acre in grain sales, $200 in forage, and $150 in carbon credits through a pilot program. Total, $750 per acre. Wheat in the same region? $600 per acre, but with $300 in input costs: seed, fertilizer, diesel. Kernza input costs? $50. Net profit, Kernza wins. He's not alone. Across the Midwest, farmers in Kansas, Wisconsin, Ohio are planting Kernza.
Small acreages, 10, 20, 50 acres. Testing, learning, sharing data. They're discovering things the research didn't predict. Wildlife explosion. Kernza fields become bird havens. Pheasants, meadowlarks, sparrows, species declining everywhere else, thrive in Kernza. Why? Year-round cover, no tilling destroying nests, insect populations feeding chicks. Drought resilience. 2021, severe drought hits the Midwest. Wheat yields collapse 40%. Corn fails. Kernza, barely affected. Those 10-foot roots tap groundwater annual crops can't reach. Labor savings. One farmer calculated Kernza saves 12 hours of tractor time per acre annually. No plowing, no planting, just harvest. Fuel saved. Wear on equipment reduced. And the grain itself? It's selling. Patagonia Provisions pays premium prices for Kernza to make pasta. Breweries like Deschutes, Sierra Nevada, and Brooklyn Brewery brew Kernza lager. Bakeries make Kernza bread, crackers, pancakes. Demand exceeds supply. So if farmers who plant it love it, if markets exist, if the environmental benefits are proven, why isn't Kernza everywhere? Because there's one final barrier, and it's the same barrier that stopped every perennial we've covered.
Critics say Kernza yields 400 to 800 pounds per acre. Wheat yields 2,500. Kernza will never compete. They're right. Sort of. Current Kernza yields are lower, but here's what that misses. 1. Breeding is accelerating. In 2009, Kernza yielded 200 pounds per acre. By 2024, 800 pounds. Researchers at University of Minnesota released MN Kernza in 2023, a variety with 30% larger seeds and 40% better threshing. Yields are climbing. Give it another decade of breeding and 1,500 pounds per acre is achievable. 2. Dual use changes the equation. You're not just selling grain, you're selling forage, you're selling carbon credits, you're selling water quality improvements. Total economic value per acre rivals or exceeds wheat today. 3. Perennials don't need high yields to win. Annual wheat requires replanting, tilling, fertilizing every year. If Kernza produces 60% of wheat's grain but costs 70% less to grow, it's more profitable. If it prevents $500 worth of soil erosion annually, it's worth planting even at 50% yields. And ecosystem services have value. The Midwest loses 1.7 billion tons of topsoil annually to erosion. That soil ends up in rivers, clogging infrastructure, requiring dredging. Cost? $44 billion per year. If Kernza prevents even 10% of that, it saves $4.4 billion. Who pays farmers for that? No one, yet. And that's the pattern. Crops that regenerate ecosystems don't generate quarterly profits, so they're ignored until the ecosystem collapses. Why it matters now? The Midwest is losing topsoil faster than it can regenerate. At current rates, Iowa has 50 years of productive soil left. Illinois, 60 years. After that, the breadbasket of America becomes dust. The Gulf of Mexico dead zone, caused by nitrate runoff from Midwest farms, now covers 6,000 square miles. Fish populations are collapsing. Shrimp fisheries are dying. Cost to the economy? $2.4 billion annually. Climate change is intensifying droughts. Annual crops fail. Farmers go bankrupt. Food prices spike. And a grain that could solve all three problems sits on 3,000 acres total, while 300 million acres grow annuals. Kernza isn't lost. It's here. It works. But it can't compete against a system designed to sell products every year. So what happens now? The story of Kernza is different from amaranth, breadnut, cannabis. Those were erased by conquest, prohibition, fire. Kernza is being erased by economics, by a food system that profits from repetition, not resilience, by subsidies that reward planting, not maintaining, by markets that value yield per acre over soil per century. But it's happening anyway. Farmers are planting it. Breweries are brewing it. Bakers are baking it. Carbon credit programs are paying for it. And every acre planted is an acre saved. The grain that grows back is still here, ready, waiting. All it needs is farmers who remember the future doesn't come from planting the same seeds every year. It comes from planting seeds that never need replacing.
If this vault opens something for you, subscribe to Nature's Forgotten Vault and hit the bell. Every like and every share preserves what they tried to erase. The next vault opens soon.